Hi, how are you? I hope you're well. My name is Kawachoan. I work with the leading referral pharmacy in Uganda, which is Vine Pharmaceuticals, and today we're continuing with our series on sexual dysfunctions, and we're going to look at products. We've now reached the extent of looking. So now that we know there's erectile dysfunction, now that we know there is low libido, now that we know that there's premature ejaculation, what do we do? So today we're going to look at we're going to look at one of the products, and I hope it's going to be, I know it's going to be educational. It will be very, very, very helpful to most of us. So we have a product here called Q7 Gold Chocolate for Men. Q7 Gold Chocolate for Men. It is one of the best products that we have. It is really very, very, how can I say, it's one of the best products that we have, and it is really very, very effective. It's a chocolate. A man takes it an hour before sexual intercourse, and it really works. The feedback that we've gotten from the clients that we've given it to is that it works mainly for arousal, the sexual experience itself, and also erectile function. It really helps with improve the erectile function, arousal, and then that good feeling itself. So it's Q7 chocolate for men. As you can see, it's written on Q7 Gold Q7 chocolate special for men. A very, very good product. So we're going to look at what are some of the ingredients in it and what do they do. So it's a European made product, so it's made in Europe, specifically Turkey. Very, very good product and very, very effective. It has the ingredients. They're written in Turkish. I'll try to say what they are, but they're really like complex. There is seka, which is sugar. Then it has bikitsa yogla, which is vegetable oil. Yagsis tozu. That one is skimmed milk. Yagsis tozu is skimmed milk. Cacao tozu, that is cocoa beans. Then the lecithin, which is the emulsifier. The aroma velci, which is aroma. Then there's susam, which is sesame seeds. The dogal ginseng, which is ginseng extract. Epimedium extract, which is the honey goat wheat. So in short, it has sugar, it has vegetable oil, it has skimmed milk, it has cocoa beans, it has the emulsifier, which is lecithin, which is a fat aroma. Then it has sesame seeds and honey goat wheat and ginseng. So those are some of the products that it has. They're written in Turkish, but that's them in English. Sugar, vegetable oils, natural sugar. This sector is natural sugar, vegetable oils, cocoa beans, lecithin, which is a good fat, aroma, sesame seeds, ginseng extract, and epimedium extract, which is honey goat wheat. So this is the product. Like I said, 1 hour before sex. Very important. So let us start from, because it's a chocolate, Q7 chocolate for men. So let's start from the cocoa bean or cocoa bean. It is we know that chocolate itself, even without all these other ingredients, is an aphrodisiac. Chocolate is an aphrodisiac. When we say an aphrodisiac, we mean something that when we say aphrodisiac, we mean something that puts someone in the mood to have sex. So it has like mainly two active ingredients. The main active ingredient is theobromine, and another one is phenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenylphenyl of them. So theobromine has caffeine-like properties. Even there is a school of thought that chocolate doesn't actually contain caffeine, that it's the theobromine that has caffeine-like properties that mimics caffeine. So theobromine has caffeine-like properties, and what does caffeine do? Caffeine is a nervous system stimulant. It stimulates the nervous system and also the heart. So then it has phenethylamine. Phenethylamine is an amphetamine. You get it? Phenethylamine is an amphetamine, and amphetamines, what they do is that they speed up the messages between the brain and the nerves, the body. They speed up the transmission of messages between the brain and the body, and it's an amphetamine. Amphetamines also stimulate the release of dopamine. I remember when we were talking about the sexual response cycle, we said and libido, we say dopamine is excitatory. So dopamine will put you in the mood for sex. So it's this theobromine and the phenethylamine, which is an amphetamine, that work together to bring about its aphrodisiac properties. So chocolate in men and women do the same thing. Because of theobromine, you're stimulating the nervous system. Also, you're quickening the transmission of messages. Someone is aroused between the body and the brain, but also stimulating release of dopamine. So there is excitement, there is libido, and that's the aphrodisiac effect of the chocolate or the cocoa bean. So that's like the basic component, the cocoa beans, which form dark chocolate. That's why it's called Q7 chocolate for men. So that's the core of this Q7 chocolate for men. Actually, they're supposed to take the whole chocolate bar. They're supposed to take the whole chocolate bar, and yeah, and it's affordable. So this stimulating the nervous system, you stimulate the release of dopamine, so you're excited. What other function does the cocoa beans or the cacao do? Like in Turkish, yeah, the cocoa beans. What other effect does it have? So chocolate itself is made up of flavonoids, and these flavonoids are a source of nitric oxide. Remember nitric oxide when we're talking about the erection cycle? Let me repeat it just for effect. It is when the nervous system is stimulated, the parasympathetic nervous system, when a man smells, feels, touches, or you get thinks about sex or sees a thigh or something like that, the parasympathetic nervous system will be stimulated, and the pelvic nerve that has a neurotransmitter um, called acetylcholine will stimulate the really will synthesize the acetylcholine, will synthesize nitric oxide synthase, which is an enzyme that converts L-arginine to nitric oxide in the endothelial lining of the blood vessels, and this nitric oxide is the one that eventually will lead to vasodilation by that whole other process. So it is the cocoa helps with the release of nitric oxide, which nitric oxide is needed in the opening up of the blood vessels that supply the penis with blood. And remember, for an erection to take place, there should be blood flow into the penis. That's actually because the penis doesn't have bone, the penis only has blood vessels and spongy tissue. And it's this, when you open up the flow of blood into the penis, it's what leads to an erection. So nitric oxide is very important because it's what starts off the process. After acetylcholine does its job, stimulating that enzyme called nitric oxide synthase, L-arginine converts into nitric oxide, and nitric oxide is the one. So here we have cocoa that will also stimulate the release of nitric oxide that starts off the process of opening up of the blood vessels, or what we call vasodilation, and therefore someone will have a strong, thick erection. Yes, so we've looked at the cocoa beans as one of the ingredients of this Q7, and so it will help you to put the man in the mood for sex, but also help in the flow of blood into the penis. So it has other components. The other components that the cocoa bean has is zinc. Now we know that zinc helps in the production of testosterone hormone. Testosterone is the primary sex hormone in men. This whole process, the erection process, the libido process, all starts from testosterone. I like calling testosterone the appetite hormone. It is responsible for libido. So you find that this Q7 chocolate for men will be very, very good for libido because it has zinc informed from cocoa that helps with testosterone hormone production itself. So then when we have another component, which is the skimmed milk that I told you about. The skimmed milk Even in India, in Asia actually, they usually tell married men to take a glass of milk on their wedding night or every time they're going to have sex, because milk is infused with a number of nutrients. I'll think of things like calcium and zinc. Milk has a lot of calcium and zinc, and they are helpful in producing testosterone hormone. And which testosterone hormone, I call it the appetite hormone, is the main hormone needed for actually both men and women for desire. So you find that this Q7 chocolate has skimmed milk. That's milk without fat, because the fat can clog the blood vessels. The bad fat can clog the blood vessels. So this skimmed milk has calcium and zinc, which calcium and zinc are responsible for production of testosterone, which is responsible for libido. So you have a tasty chocolate snack, but at the same time you're going to have a good sex later on with your spouse or partner. Then it has a vitamin A, C, B, and E. All these are responsible for desire for sex. They help in the desire for sex. So that's basically the skimmed milk function. Yeah, so it has. So we've talked about the cocoa beans, then we're talking about the skimmed milk. So the next component I'm going to talk about is the lecithin. Lecithin. It has lecithin. Lecithin is an emulsifier. Uh, uh, it's an emulsifier. It's called lecithin. It's used in metabolic processes and all these other processes in the body. But today we're going to talk about it in form of how does it help with the sexual function of a man. Why is it that you should take something with lecithin an hour before sex? So when you take in lecithin in the body, it transforms into choline. Yeah, when you take in lecithin in the body, it transforms into choline, and choline is a precursor to a neurotransmitter called acetylcholine. Yes, so when we go back to our libido thing, our erection cycle, remember we talked about parasympathetic nervous system being stimulated. When it is stimulated, the pelvic nerve has a neurotransmitter called acetylcholine. Acetylcholine is the one that actually triggers the process of an erection, because acetylcholine will produce an enzyme called a nitric, will stimulate the release of an enzyme called nitric oxide synthase, which synthesizes nitric oxide from L-arginine. And yeah, so so lecithin is very important in that it will increase the levels of acetylcholine, because when it gets into the body, it transforms into choline, which choline the body uses to form acetylcholine. So you find that this Q7 chocolate goes for men. We've so far looked at it in mainly two things. It's helping with desire. We've looked at cocoa beans in form of libido. We've looked at skim milk in form of libido. But it also helps with sexual function, erection itself. We've looked at cocoa beans in form of nitric oxide synthesis, and which helps with like the flow of blood into the penis. Then we've looked at also acetylcholine production, lecithin, which helps in acetylcholine production, that will also help in the nitric oxide synthesis in the long run, which will help in the opening up of the blood vessels in the long run, and blood moves into the penis. Yes, and also the lecithin is good cholesterol, so it will boost the levels of good cholesterol. When you boost the levels of what we call HDL, high density lipoproteins, the levels of low density lipoproteins will lower. So when HDL is increased, LDL is reduced. So this will help with production of this will help with lowering the levels of bad cholesterol. And remember, when we looked at the erectile dysfunction, we say that if someone has anything clogging the flow of blood into the penis, and fat can easily clog the flow of blood into the penis, will lead to an erectile dysfunction. So you find that this chocolate, it's tasty. So for me, the good thing about it is that, wow, it is tasty, but it actually has all these things in it that are helping someone like remove the bad fat, help in the widening of the blood vessels, help with libido, help with that good pleasurable feeling of having sex. Then the other thing, it helps with It helps with lecithin, helps with the quality and quantity of semen. Some men are really worried when the amount of semen they've produced at the end after they've ejaculated is really less. So it will help, and it does something to their esteem when the amount of semen is less. It really does it. It really does, and also to the woman, she thinks that has he come or something like that. So lecithin also boosts the amount and quality of the semen, which will also in the long run help to boost fertility levels. Then we go to another component which I like, sesame seeds. Sesame seeds help both with the quality of the sperms, production of sperms, but also very, very rich in zinc. We've looked at, I think this Q7 is zinc intense, what I call zinc intense, because milk has zinc, the cocoa beans have zinc, and now we are looking at the sesame seeds having zinc as well. Zinc, like I said earlier, testosterone production. Yeah. So sperm quality, because of its antioxidant effect. I'm not going into the antioxidant effect. Stay tuned for more videos where we'll be talking about antioxidants. Antioxidants generally remove the freely moving oxygen radicals, those things that disturb the normal structure, the quality of something. So uh, these sesame seeds have good quality antioxidants that will not affect the quality of the sperm, but also another very important component is that they have zinc that helps with testosterone production, which testosterone is the primary sex hormone. Then let us look at another component. It's written as epimedium extract, but we all know it mainly as honey goat weed. As you hear the word, I like saying honey goat weed. It's not marijuana, it's not weed, but it is honey goat weed. If you've seen a he goat and how horny a he goat can be, so you know the effect of this. It's not that you're going to climb people, it's not going like, but it gives you that. It's an aphrodisiac. First of all, it gives you that, the mood to have sex, the good euphoric feeling to have sex. But then it has other main ingredients. So when we're looking at the erection cycle, so after, I'll start from nitric oxide. After nitric oxide is released, we realize that it goes to the smooth muscles. When it goes to the smooth muscles, it causes the smooth muscle enzyme to convert guanine triphosphate (GTP) to CGMP, which is cyclic guanomonophosphate. This CGMP will cause muscle relaxation through potassium leaving the blood vessel, the smooth muscles of the blood vessels, and the blood vessel will just dilate. So we say that one of the things that reduces CGMP is an enzyme called PDE5, or phosphodiesterase enzyme 5. If you remember when we were talking about erectile dysfunction, if you didn't watch, I'll say so. We stopped on nitric oxide when we were explaining the other ingredients. Now, from nitric oxide, one of the things that nitric oxide does is that from the endothelial lining, it will move into the smooth muscles, and it will cause the smooth muscle enzyme to convert guanine triphosphate (GTP) to CGMP, which is cyclic guanomonophosphate. The cyclic guanomonophosphate will cause potassium to leave the cells, and the smooth muscles will relax and then dilate. The blood vessel will dilate, allowing blood to flow in, and that's helping with that erection. But then we have an enzyme there, otherwise men will be erect all the time. You get, but we have an enzyme there that reduces the production, diminishes CGMP levels, or prevents the production of CGMP. That enzyme is called phosphodiesterase enzyme 5. Now, ordinarily, that enzyme could be good, because otherwise a man would move around with an erection. But that that PDE5, I like calling it like an unwanted visitor. It remains even when it is not required. It can remain even when it is not required at all. So what this honey goat weed does, it has an active ingredient called icarin, which inhibits that enzyme from remaining when someone wants to have sex. You get. So it will inhibit that phosphodiesterase enzyme 5 and therefore allow for CGMP to be produced and therefore for muscle relaxation to take place and blood to flow into the penis uh, through the dilated blood vessels and therefore for someone to have a good erection. So this honey goatweed is really very important. It mimics testosterone. It puts someone in the mood to have sex, but then it is a PDE5 inhibitor, phosphodiesterase enzyme 5 inhibitor. This enzyme that reduces CGMP. Now, we have other PDE5 inhibitors like sildenafil, tadalafil. So this is a natural Viagra. It's a natural form of Viagra without the side effects associated with Viagra. It does it in such a way that that's the same mechanism that Viagra does. Viagra also inhibits PDE5. But imagine this is a natural form. So it's a natural Viagra and does it very well. So when you Google Q7 gold chocolate for men, they'll say it has natural Viagra. So the natural Viagra they're talking about is honey goatweed. Honey goatweed is one of the best sex ingredients they can ever put in a product because it is rich. It inhibits PDE5 and one of the leading indicators of erectile dysfunction is that PDE5, that enzyme. It is normally required in men, but when it stays there, it's usually basically useless when it keeps staying there. So that is it has honey goatweed. It has ginseng as well. Ginseng is a component of it. Ginseng has nitric oxide. It's a nitrate, so it will lead to the production of nitric oxide. We've already talked about the nitric oxide. It has sugar for energy. It has vegetable oils. They say that the vegetable oils that are contained in it reduce impotence by over 40%. So you're looking at this Q7 chocolate gold, and I've looked at it. It's mainly helping with aphrodisiac properties, putting someone in the mood for sex, making someone desire sex for libido, because it has good sources of testosterone, the milk, the cocoa beans, the sesame seeds. But then also you find it also helping with an erection. So it will help. It has honey goatweed that inhibits PDE5. It has something that helps. It has the lecithin that helps in the production of acetylcholine. It has the cocoa beans that produce nitric oxide themselves, and ginseng and all these other components. So you can't go wrong with this. It's better than Viagra. Why? Because Viagra is only a PDE5 inhibitor. It only does the function of honey goatweed, but this has what Viagra does, what Penegra does, what Camagra does on top of these all other. So eliminating also the other causes of erectile dysfunction, because erectile dysfunction is not only because of the PDE5 enzyme, the phosphodiesterase enzyme 5, it's also because of other factors. So this is a very affordable chocolate that you could give to any of your clients that walk in into the pharmacy and your spouse. It is natural. It's not dangerous to them. Only giving caution to, since it has theobromine and all those things, to people who may be having an increased heart rate, who are very few, but it is a very good natural component. Thank you so much for watching. You can subscribe and please keep rewatching the video so that this becomes part of you. Thank you so much. Bye bye. Have a beautiful week. Thank you.